Well, howdy there, daylight burners. Happy Wednesday. Hump day already. It is halfway through the month of September already. It's fucking wild, ain't it? I've got to go to Nebraska next week, and I could have swore we had 3 weeks left just the other day. So, yeah, time is flying, but hope all is treating you well. Hopefully you're not too affected by the smoke if you're here in the western states. We'll talk a little bit about that later. It was gnarly. But overall, I can't complain too much. So I hope that's the same on your end as well. Gonna ramble a little bit today. George had to back out, but don't worry, we got him back here tomorrow for the cattle market report, and then he's also, I think he's gonna join us on Thursday for the bull session. We got a couple of my college buddies. We're gonna do a good old CSU Rams reunion show on Thursday. So be chock full on the live stream, and the bull session on the audio side will come out on Monday. Try to get an episode or two ahead so that I don't have to try to put one together while I'm in Nebraska. So we'll see how that works. And if I get behind, well, sue me. It'll happen from time to time. But that's what we got going on. And before I get into my incoherent, just jabbering and yammering, and sometime making a coherent point, before we get into that, let me tell you about some of the folks that help keep this thing chugging along. And I appreciate them all very, very much. But first off, we got Stetson Ranches up there in Fromberg, Montana. A good buddy, Jesse, is man, I can't tell you what a cool guy this is. Those of you that have met him, you already know, but he is just a man. He's a hell of a good guy, and his family is exactly the same. Just some of the best people you'll meet. They're a longtime ranching family, multi-generational. I think they're fourth generation right now, and they're working on building just a legacy type ranch, something that's going to be around for forever. It's going to sustain their family forever, and their families, and being sustainable in in a people sense of the word, and not in a Greenpeace political talking point sense of the word. But just an excellent family with an excellent operation. They're very multifaceted. They're diversified, forward-looking, and and you gotta be nowadays. You can't just make it on cows alone, and to do that, they're working into the industrial hemp business. They're working on a really good harvest, breaking into a market that I think is has a lot of potential, almost unlimited potential here in the near future. That just a crop that has so many different uses. They also got some of the best quarter horses you can find. Some of the old foundation quarter horse bloodlines that you like to hear about, like Zanzibar Bar and Two-Eyed Jack and Peppy Sand Badger. Just some really good old foundation bloodlines. Well, these mares have got that blood running through their veins, and this is not 8-9 generations back. These are on the registration papers. These are just really nice, athletic, big, soggy, big bone, just like anything you'd want in a ranch horse, in any sort of performance horse. Just good horse flesh. And then the cornerstone of it all is their pasture to table beef program. They raise their own beef. They got registered Black Angus mama cows. They got registered Hereford bulls, and that's just creating a whole bunch of F1 Black Baldy Cross calves. And man, excellent beef. I've had some of it myself. It's awesome. It's guaranteed prime, coming to your doorstep at $6.95 a pound, from an eighth of a beef all the way up to a full beef, and multiple if that's what you need. I'm sure they'll be happy to sell you more than one. But if that's a little bit too much for your taste, don't worry about it. Like I said, packages always all the way down to an eighth of a beef, and you're getting all the good cuts, all the mediocre cuts, and as well as the ground beef stuff, all for one flat price of $6.95 a pound, which is about the same price as you'd pay for a tube of hamburger in the grocery store. So you're getting a great deal. You're getting to know a great family, and you're getting just some of the best beef that money can buy. And I'm proud to call them sponsors. So check them out online, StetsonRanches.com. Go follow Jesse over on Facebook and Instagram. It's Jesse Stetson with one S. Jesse with one S. Next up, we got my good buddy George Raftopoulos, and the best goddamn sale barn in North America, Loma Livestock. Got a sale every Friday, starting at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. George is utilizing everything that technology's got to offer for him to try to add a whole bunch of value to your bottom line as the cow producer, and also bring you the most uniform, consistent set of calves to the order buyer, to the feedlot, to the packer. They're also selling some fat cattle through there. Just doing everything they can to make it a win-win situation for the buyer and the seller, and that's what makes them the best goddamn sale barn in North America. I think it was this Monday. We got George on the show tomorrow, so we'll check for sure on dates. And they're also going to feeder sales on Mondays here throughout the fall. It's a great deal. Great people once again. You got any questions you want to consign with them, give them a holler, 970-858-9988. Or check them out online, lomalivestock.com, and Loma Livestock on Facebook and Instagram. Go give them a follow, and let them know you heard about it on Burning Daylight. And finally, we got Mr. Nick Allen Lute, my good buddy from Oklahoma, living in Kansas right now, but a rawhide braiding man. Buckaroo type cowboy. It's funny, just he for some reason took to the Buckaroo life and decided he needed to get some of their gear, which, if you know many Buckaroos, that shit gets expensive real quick. And he decided he didn't want to pay all that money, so he started making his own. And turns out he's pretty damn good at it, and he kind of likes it, so he kept on at it. And now he makes a whole lot of shit. But I've got a couple Hondas from him. I've got a Quart that he built, and the guy is really talented. He's building Bozels. He's building rawhide Hondas. He's building Quarts. He's building Rommel reins. Pretty well anything rawhide you want, and he can probably do it for you. And he's gonna do a damn good job at it, because that's just the kind of guy he is. You want to check out any of his stuff? Give him go look him up on Facebook, Nick Allen Lute, Lute, or over on Instagram at Will Cowboy for Food. And as always, with all the sponsors, I appreciate the hell out of these folks, and they're good people. So if you do any business with them, make sure you let them know you heard about it on Burning Daylight, and yeah, do us both a big favor. So Appreciate y'all, and let's get into the show. Man, I I feel like I'm in Groundhog Day because I keep saying I'm getting tired of repeating myself about how just crazy everything is, but I mean it is. It's fucking wild right now. And there's a you can always focus on the problems and where certain government leaders fucked up, and where we as a country fucked up, where China fucked up. I mean, that's you could throw darts at China all day long and never make a dent into what is wrong with the world that China has done. But on the other end, you could do the same thing if you had a dartboard and who has contributed the most to how to how much has has played into shaping the world that we now live in. Um, and you're just throwing a dart for every instance that has impacted the world that we live, or impacted the world to shape the reality that we now live in. And I say reality, uh, tongue in cheek, because we all know it's a simulation. It's not even real. But in the simulation, reality as we know it, we've got 6-month pandemic, so called. We've got what seems to be a brewing race war. We've got a highly contentious presidential election going on, but it seems to kind of take back seat to everything else because there's so much other shit going on. And we've got the western part of the country just burning to the ground. And we have got we've lost a third of the country's GDP in the course of less than 6 months. And in the meantime, here out in rural America, at least on my end, like, we see all this stuff happening. You see, you see a little hit here and there. There was the great toilet paper shortage of a couple months ago. There was the beef crisis that thankfully was very short lived. I was far more concerned about that than I was the toilet paper. And yeah, it's just a wild fucking time. So, like, I kind of wanted to go back to the beginning of this whole deal, which I guess would be right around in March. I don't know what day it was. I don't really care. I'm not gonna be citing a whole bunch of concrete facts. I'm just gonna be kind of paraphrasing what I read and stuff. So it's a venting type of rant that I'm gonna do tonight. So don't quote me on anything, but you'll get the general idea of where I'm going with everything. So back in March, I believe it was the same week as Patty's Day, which one of my favorite holidays of the year. National emergency is declared, and they're looking at. Originally, they thought a 15-day shutdown was gonna take care of it. We thought 15 days or 2 weeks. I forget. I don't remember if it was 14 or 15 days, but I believe it was 15 days. And so you're looking at April 1st, and that came and went, and then they're talking about being open by Easter. And the way this year has went, I don't even know what day Easter was on. It seems like it was 100 years ago, and like it's kind of, maybe it's just me getting older, but it seems like it seems like we've been living in this COVID deal for years at this point, and shit, it's not even been a year yet. It's fucking wild. But 15 days, and originally they were saying no masks. The masks not going to do any good, and then they said we do need masks, but give them to the frontline workers because there's a great mask shortage of 2020. Seemingly, coincided hand in hand with the great toilet paper shortage. But anyway, so we got to the 15-day deal, and it did a reassessment, and at this point it's mostly on a state by state basis. Trump had banned travel to certain countries, and he didn't really do a whole lot as far as locking down the country on a federal level. He played a major part in just taking a great big old shit on the national debt. But in that case, he was pretty well joined by all but 3 people in Congress in supporting that decision. But as far as the lockdown goes, from what I can tell, Trump has not done a whole lot to shut much of anything down. So that's a good thing. It shows me that his gut instinct is that we just got to get through this. However, he has also not done much in the way of trying to stop these states from shutting down. Now, there's a lot of people, I think, if Trump just came into just marched troops into California and came knocking on Gavin Newsom's door and said, "Hey, you're out. I'm placing the state under martial law." I would venture to bet there's going to be a ton of conservatives that'll cheer it on. And while that might be the best solution for the state of California, if you really wanted to turn them around, I can't get behind that because, Donald Trump does not have the authority to do that. And so while he hasn't done a whole lot to shut much down, he also has not done a whole lot to stop any of these governors from shutting down. And rather than marching in and just taking over, what he could do is direct his Department of Justice, which he is the head of, an executive branch. He is the head of the executive branch of government. He can direct his Department of Justice into looking into the constitutionality of all these mandates, whether it be the mask mandate, whether the closing of all non-essential businesses, quote unquote unessential. He could direct the Department of Justice to look into the constitutionality and see where they violate the Constitution. Because while some of these things were probably they're probably within state law, but that law happens to be in conflict with the federal law, which is the law of the land. So, or more specifically, in conflict with the Bill of Rights. So within conflict of the Constitution itself. So there's a lot of steps that Trump could have taken through this thing that or should have taken, I think, and did not. So, all in all, I don't know. I think the way he's handled this is about the way he's handled his presidency. He's done some okay things. He's done some really not okay things. But he's been entertaining the whole time through. So, you got that. So he'll win a point for originality. Yeah, and it's crazy. So like in the from like April to June, it seemed like every month there was of 2020 there was some big shocking deal that goes down, and it was the lockdown due to the coronavirus, China virus, as Trump says, and which he got blasted for being a racist, but really, and it's just kind of an accurate statement from all the evidence that we've seen, and who knows what of, if any, of it to believe. But it seems to show that this whole virus was made in a lab, somehow broke containment, and spread like wildfire into the Wuhan province, and then, of course, into the rest of the world, just because of the sheer amount of traffic coming out of an industrialized area of China. There's going to be a lot of traffic, and but yeah, don't worry about facts, because they get really in the way of telling a fictional account that tugs on people's heartstrings. So the fact is, the thing came from China, and calling it the China virus obviously is not super appropriate. I don't particularly care though, but he got ridiculed for that. And he also got ridiculed for saying that it looks like hydroxychloroquine with Z-Pak and something else is a very effective treatment. And he's like, yeah, it's hydroxychloroquine, the old malaria medicine. It's still around. It's a generic drug that any licensed pharmaceutical company can make, and seems like, hey, this might be a good deal. Well, if you haven't followed the media for the last, or the just current events in general for the last 4 years, the media fucking hates Trump, like really, really hates him, and I've talked to some of my more liberal friends, and even just some of my conservative friends that just hate Donald Trump because he's not a politician, and they will all bash him as being kind of this like extremely evil character, or extremely dumb, or something. And yeah, like you can't convince them of it either way. And when you ask for evidence of it, you just get, basically what it boils down to is Orange Man bad. And so much so that these people are saying, like, no, don't take hydroxychloroquine, because Trump's taking it, and that's terrible. And like, so much so that I don't know where it originated, but the governor here in Nevada straight up banned the use of hydroxychloroquine as a treatment for COVID-19. And just like all new diseases, when you first encounter them, you do some testing. But your testing is not very reliable because you have a small pool that you're testing. Once you get better testing, it becomes more widespread. You get more positive cases, and you're better able to monitor and diagnose and hopefully find a treatment. That's kind of how medicine is supposed to work, I guess. Is you find the sick people, you isolate them, and then you look at the symptoms and how to treat it, and you kind of go from there. And it's kind of just a big game of like minefield. A lot of times, when they start, they have no idea what's lethal, what's non-lethal, what's going to be beneficial, what's not. So you kind of just got to make your first shot out there and see where it lands, and hopefully it doesn't blow up in your face. And then you refine it from there. But you would think that if this pandemic is as serious as everybody is claiming it to be, and it seems to be pretty damn serious in certain parts of the country, but you'd think that like all options would be on the table. You're looking at something like 30 to 40,000 people died in New York State alone, and you'd think that all this data that you have on it, you would want to go with what's going to work. And so here you are, you've got a group of doctors, maybe not a huge group of doctors, but verifiable doctors coming out and say that hydroxychloroquine seems to be effective in a very loose study, not a very scientific study, but just kind of that point almost anecdotal evidence that, hey, this stuff is kind of working. And then you have the media just tell you the complete opposite. Like, we were talking in the Snap group the other day. Like, you could have, say, pick your choice of the pills. So like Cialis or Viagra, or like the new one that you hear on the podcast nowadays, get Roman. But anyway, dick pills, boner pills. Maybe, like, what if that was the cure for COVID-19? They, for whatever reason, say this old fella is like 65 years old, high blood pressure, not supremely out of shape, but just feeling the effects of a life of partying, and we'll call him, say, like an old rodeo cowboy that had a couple good years, made it rich, was smart with his money, and he's got some money to throw around now that he's retired. Bags himself like a 24-year-old wife, trophy wife, obviously gold digger. That's how that shit works. And they get married on coming back from their honeymoon. He pops a temperature at one of these stores or something, and so he goes in, gets tested, tests positive for the coronavirus, gets a second opinion. It comes back hot too, and they're like, well, shit, I've got it. So off to quarantine he goes. Just got back from his honeymoon with his smoking hot little wife that's 40 years younger than him. And he is by himself all day long, every day, 14 days. So he's like, man, I ought to be out there banging my new wife. That's what I married her for. And can't do that. But he was also 65, so he's experiencing some setbacks in the old wiener department. And so he goes ahead and pops himself a Roman, one of these Roman pills, and nothing else to do while you're in quarantine, so he's going to go rub one out. And goes ahead and does that, and of course, the after effects of a dick pill being that it's going to stay hard for a long time, so goes ahead, rubs a couple more out. Finally goes to bed, Wakes up 6 hours later, no boner. All right, think I'm good. He's like, man, I feel good though. Feel good. Just what I needed during this COVID deal is just go ahead and have a good old yank fest. Just get after it. So keeps doing that, but of course, old man, things don't always work quite so right. So he pops himself a Roman every time, and they come in for the daily checkup, and they're like, "Hey, your vitals are looking a lot better, like your lung capacity and whatever else they used to see." And they're like, "Hey, we haven't been treating you with anything. What are you doing here?" And you're just like, "I've just been taking dick pills and pounding off." They're like, "Huh. Well, we're gonna do some more tests on you, and which means that you you get paid to get tested for COVID and take dick pills and pound off for a while." So fellow takes that offer, and he, fast forward here a couple months, and they find out that hey, this really works. Even on the women, for some reason, they can't get a boner, but this pill, this drug, increases the blood flow to the nether regions, and for whatever reason, that helps with the symptoms of COVID. This is all a hypothetical, folks, not a real thing. Anyhow, they find that out that Viagra is gonna cure the COVID. They run it up the food chain, flops on Trump's desk, and he says, "Well, all right, that's what I've been talking about. Fuck yeah, let's get the word out there." And they're like, here's the thing: is the media out there? And he's like, I fucking hate those losers, worst people, the worst. And you're like, yeah, you tell America to go start taking dick pills, they're gonna crucify your ass. So you can't do that, but you've got to get the word out there because this is actually gonna save lives. We've got a large enough study. We've done whatever the blinds or they've done it the right way, and the results are just indisputable. Like, this shit works. Pop a Viagra, cured from COVID. I don't know if the rubbing it out was part of it, but hey, you're gonna take something that's gonna get you all yoked in the below the belt category, then so be it. You're gonna do that. I mean, that's a sacrifice we as men have to take. And ladies, I'm not sure what the effect would be on you, but we expect you to make that sacrifice too. And so you got to play this public relations game where you got to get the word out to the public where everybody believes it. And it may have to take in stages, but first things first is the media does not want to give you credit for anything. So even though you could put down all the findings right in their face and say, hey, dick pills work, and they'll say, no, you can't just take a dick pill and cure everything. And I'd venture to say there's a whole lot of old men and be like, well, fuck you, it sure helps. And anyhow, so you got this whole PR situation where the media is bashing you, saying that you better not take a damn dick pill to cure yourself from the COVID because it's not going to work because it's Orange Man bad. So Trump, being the master manipulator that he is, because he's a con man, and I say that that's a good thing and a bad thing. But he's like, you know what? Many a guys my age, Joe Biden, he's older than me, guarantee you he's taking the dick pills. Not this guy. I've got the stamina of a racehorse. I've got the libido of a 12-year-old. And I don't need a dick pill. And that'll be like, the next day the headlines will be like, Trump, inadequate in bed. And so then they'll just run with that. And they're like, Trump has got to be taking dick pills. And he's like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. Dick pills are for losers. And so then, in a show of solidarity for all the people who hate Trump, they just simultaneously, much like the Jonestown scenario with the Kool-Aid, they just at the same time, at a preordained date, but it's not a cult because it is in resistance to the duly elected president of the United States, who up until 4 years ago, many people didn't have a second thought about, but now is the epitome of evil. In resistance to that guy, we are going to take our boner pills right now. Down the hatch, away you go. Everybody's walking around with a boner, and Trump's a loser, and fuck you guys, Corona's over. If that happens 2 months from now, you heard it here, folks. But at this point, I wouldn't even be surprised. Like, you goddamn right, I'm going to take credit for it. But, like, would it really surprise you at this point? This whole year has been so fucking crazy. And, you know, like that whole story is ridiculous. Like, the dick pills during COVID. Obviously, that's not a thing. But say it was something like that, something mundane that has nothing to do with upper respiratory issues. Say like triple antibiotic cream. Like you rub that around your nostrils for some reason, and it just cures it. And the science is there backing it up. If Trump's the one announcing it, gonna have like half the country that are afraid to do that. Just because Trump says to do it. And even if he's doing it himself, like he could have video, like he could do a live stream of, taking a dick pill or rubbing, Neosporin around his nostrils, whatever the case may be. We haven't decided on a treatment yet. But hey, I call myself a doctor from time to time, so we should be on the right track. Just off of those things alone. But you could have stacks and stacks of scientific evidence in favor of this treatment, and the media would say, don't do it. You have states like Nevada banning it for treatment in COVID because Trump said it was okay. And Jesus Christ. And then we got the mask deal. That'll lead into to the fire deal as well. But man, we've so they first come out and they said don't wear a mask. And then they say do wear a mask. And then they say, well, you have to wear the right kind of mask. And now they're saying just any facial covering. And I've seen I saw my cousin do it. Robbie did it, and I've seen plenty of other people that have a face mask that is made out of like see-through mesh. Obviously not going to stop anything whatsoever. I mean, you can see their lips moving from behind it. It is not going to stop anything, but that is an acceptable face covering. And now we've got the entire state of California, basically. Something like 4 million acres is burning over there. And then up in Oregon and Washington, and there is smoke everywhere. The last 2 days, I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but I can feel it. It has looked like just a heavy fog, one of those like river bottom type fogs where it just hangs in all day. Except there's no moisture, it's just smoke. It just settles in. The last 2 days have just been just thick and miserable. And the CDC came out with a statement saying that, warning, the cloth masks that are being used to, stop the spread of the coronavirus will not protect you from smoke because there are particles within the smoke that are too small to be captured by the filter that is the mask. Which makes sense when you see this smoke hanging in the air. And you can kind of taste it. You can definitely smell it. And it just, it's kind of hard to breathe. It's thick. But you can tell that, yeah, there's some decent sized particles in there. Well, the smallest particle of smoke from these fires is going to be about 1,000 times bigger than the size of a virus. And they say the cloth masks will not protect you from the smoke, which is 1,000 times bigger than a virus. But these same masks are going to save us all from the Rona. It just doesn't make any sense, and and then you've got what seems to be like a full-fledged race war going on if you just watch the news, and I'm sure it's not nearly as bad as portrayed, but the truth is there's been a lot of people that have died in these things. Protesters, if you want to call them that, rioters, looters, fucking criminals, but anyway, we'll use the media's terms. Protesters, been like 30-something of them killed. And that might be including cops. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not pulling out accurate stats here. But there's been a lot of people murdered, cops and civilians alike, during these fucking riots. Now you have cities voting to disband or defund their police force, and then directly afterward hiring armed security. And because of this, there's a lot of people moving out of the city. Like New York has got so bad that Cuomo was basically begging the rich people to come back. I heard somewhere that 94,000 people from LA County alone have moved out of the city, and I don't know if that. I'm not sure what all that number means, but yeah, there's a lot of people. I don't recall if that was like a 1 month number, or like a quarter number, or since the beginning of the pandemic or whatever, but like 94,000 just out of LA County alone. And I don't know where they're going, but they got to go somewhere. And chances are they're going to pop up in our little towns. And chances are they are going to try to bring the stupid fucking California politics with them. So it's going to be up to us to try to defeat that. Which ties way back in to one of my first episodes where I said that we in the agricultural business, we don't have a facts problem. Like the problem is not an argument. Like we can win most arguments. We've got a lot of good facts on our side. What we have is a messaging problem, much like the Libertarian Party. We have all our facts. We know how to back them up. We know how to cite them. But when we do that, you'll get a bunch of other ag folks, cattle folks, depending on what the topic is. But you'll get a bunch of rural, conservative, agricultural type folks that'll just love the fuck out of it. But those aren't the people that you need to reach. because they're going to agree with you 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10. You want to reach the people who are hearing the other side of the story, mostly urban people. Well, now they're moving out to our part of the world, and they leave California for whatever reason, most likely taxes and regulation. And so they come here and they think, yeah, it's going to be way better. And then some issue pops up about, say, here, this last election in 2018, there was a county question they voted on whether or not to, forget exactly what the wording was, but it's basically to reclassify a whorehouse. And so that basically the rules would make it so that it de facto illegalized prostitution in Lyon County. And I'm sure this came from some do-gooder who was just wanting to make a difference in the world, and not realizing that, well, the county collects a ton of tax revenue off of those. If there's an outlet for these young buckaroos or whoever that come out to visit these places, if there's not that outlet, that could lead to a spike in sexual assaults and rapes. And while it's not a great profession, shouldn't be illegal, but it's going to be people moving in from out of state that don't understand all the nuance behind it. They're going to put forth a bill, basically saying, defund the brothels or get rid of the brothels. And that's just an extreme solution, but it could be anything regarding water rights. It could be anything regarding handling of cattle and livestock, treatment of horses, and any number of things that these folks really don't have any business having any input. But yet here they are, and now they're in your neighborhood, and now they vote. So how do you prevent that? And I think we found out that just screaming facts in their face and telling them that they're wrong and fuck your feelings. Nobody, feelings don't care about your facts. Well, that's all true. I don't know how effective that is. And there's this kind of mindset on both sides where, they think if you just win this election, then everything's going to be just A-okay because your guy won, and that there's nothing else that needs to be done. But you look in 2016, I think Trump got about 62 million votes, and Hillary Clinton got about 65 million votes. So, Trump takes office, there's still 65 million people that voted against him, and tens of millions of more people that just didn't even vote. And they don't go away. And they probably still don't like Trump. I'm sure there's I'm sure there's plenty of people that have converted and come back over on the Trump train because they realize how shitty the Democratic Party is. But all in all, those people that hated Trump in 2016, they probably still hate him now. And yeah, they don't go away. So even if you win an election, if you don't sway any people over to your idea, then you're just it's just you're enforcing your will upon somebody else. So like there's got to be some sort of conversation, and civility is going to be the key, because if you turn these type of people off right away, Maybe they'll move. Probably a good chance they don't. But it's just it's a whole situation, and I don't know if we're prepared for it because, like I said, all these people moving out of the city in droves. They got to go somewhere, and they're probably going to end up in one of our small towns. And you know, I think there's a way where you can set boundaries real quick and said, hey, like California shit don't play here. However, outside of that, you know, do what you need to. It's a free country, and we believe in liberty. But there's gotta be that conversation. Otherwise, I've been thinking about it a lot with Rogan moving to Texas. Like, y'all might be fucked here in a couple of years. I don't think Rogan's the problem. He's pretty lefty, but he's reasonable, and I think he can see. I mean, he talks about it a lot about how bad California got, so why they moved, and yeah, I think you got a good one, Texas, by getting Joe Rogan there. However, he's bringing a whole bunch of people in his friend group that don't think like you do, or think like I do, or think like most agricultural folks think, and they're going to be voting. So you're going to have to change their mind because probably they're a little bit liberal at the very least. So I don't know. I don't know what the exact argument is. If you guys got any thoughts on that, I'd love to hear them. But I'm calling this episode "Fire and Brimstone" because there's fires everywhere, and it seems like I feel like an old like revival preacher. Just when I delve into these political deals, but I don't know. It's I think it could be a really, really good. Well, I know we're gonna have to get on the messaging thing because there are people moving out to rural areas in large numbers, and if we're not prepared for it, next thing you know, another Western state has lost the fight. California. R.I.P. Colorado. R.I.P. Nevada. But man, I don't know. It's crazy, but I don't know. We're gonna have to get that message across without alienating, because that's one thing is not only do those people vote, they have a weird knack for organizing as well. So, within a short period of time, you're seeing old towns and cities that have had their way of life for forever just get rocked with new money. And I don't know. There's a lot of that's going to happen, I think, and I don't know. I don't know what the best solution is, but you're gonna have to try to get out ahead of it because it's happening. That's for sure. And Texas, if you ain't careful, that shit's turning blue in a hurry. There's a lot of left wing people moving to Austin, and I know they may not be able to affect a whole lot on the state government's perspective, but boy, they could help sway a presidential election. So any of these new people, you got to keep them in line, I guess. I don't know. don't take that as a serious suggestion. But anyhow, it's a crazy time. I don't know. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on it because I'm kind of at a loss. Not obviously not a loss for words, but I'm at a loss for what the fuck is going on. So anyhow, appreciate y'all listening in. Makes my day seeing looking at my download numbers and seeing that people are tuning in. So I appreciate the fuck out of that. Love you all. Keep chugging along out there. Go follow me on all the social media stuff at Movie Your Ass on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. Burning Daylight on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. So go check that out. Check out the website, burning-daylight.com. We got a lot of good content over there, as well as all the podcasts and a little store. We're kind of running low after the old Dan Hartman horse clinic this past weekend, so it'll be a little bit before we get stocked back up, but we'll have some stuff there. And thanks again for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And on that note, I got some work to do yet, so move your ass. We're burning daylight.